Oh, you're listening to the Two Guys Talking Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Green Gab Podcast, a place to gab with people rocking it in green. Green homes, green living, green companies. Join Marla Esser Cloos, the green home coach and author of Living Green Effortlessly, Simple Choices to a Better Home, and Tony Pratt, the Director of Builder Relations at The Sound Room. Here are your hosts, Marla and Tony.
The Green Gab Podcast is on the go still at the St. Louis Home and Garden Show, and we are just literally wandering around finding wonderful, wonderful solutions and more amazing people. We really are just loving it. And we just ran into Nick over at Cloverwall. How are you today, Nick?
Very good.
We kind of stopped by and kind of grilled you about what you guys offer for deer control and mosquito control. And one of these things being in the green world, we obviously want to live in harmony with nature as much as possible, but we also don't want to get sick.
For sure.
So tell me how you guys do this and what it's all about.
The main reason people have mosquitoes in their yard is because of some sort of standing water issue.
Okay.
First thing we do is map out all the standing water on your property and let you know what you can do about it and provide you a full report.
Oh, you mean so like a plan?
A
strategic plan for your yard?
A strategic plan.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That is awesome.
And after that, we treat any standing water you can't get rid of with a larvicide that is safe for fish.
Okay.
It makes it the mosquitoes can't breed in that water.
Okay.
After that, depending on the product you're using and depending on what your surrounding area is, we use an all-natural product that's based on botanicals, or we can use a synthetic that lasts a little bit longer that's based on a pyrethroid, which is derived from the chrysanthemum flower.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, exactly. Some people call it mums.
There you go. Mums for your mum.
There you go.
There you go. You offer both products or both solutions, and I'm assuming you have some sort of a process that you help your clients understand what's going to work best for their environment.
Exactly. Well, a lot of this stuff that we're doing, like we said, is common sense. Getting rid of standing water. Letting you know and mapping these things out, so even if you're not going to use this on a regular basis, now you have a plan to go toss, tip, and turn things after the rain, so that you're not going to get bitten up when you go outside.
Yeah, and with so much disease now being attributed to mosquitoes, we don't want to get bit by mosquitoes anymore.
I don't know anyone that likes mosquitoes except maybe other mosquitoes.
Well, and actually, I guess they pass some stuff just because different brands of mosquitoes.
Different breeds.
Different breeds.
Yeah.
I've been doing this all day long, can you tell? But different breeds of mosquitoes will bite animals and then pass disease to other breeds of mosquitoes, and then that gets passed to other animals. And I never realized until recently that was how a lot of disease got passed.
Yeah. Some of them will bite. For example, heartworm is passed to dogs through mosquitoes, and they can be vectors through raccoons and different animals. So some animals are affected by it. Sometimes it's a vector can be a human it could attack a human, and then they're going to get impacted, and sometimes the carrying animal won't even be impacted.
I'm so appreciative that people have an opportunity to solve that issue with you and your company, because this is a novel approach. I've not seen this before. Usually it's just kind of go in and spray it down and not worry about the consequences.
Yeah, integrative pest management, when you're really is the greenest approach that you can do, because you're not just trying to say what kind of chemicals can I put down, what kind of product, but why do I have the problem?
Right.
What's a solution that's not necessarily using any type of chemical, like modifying your property so you have less standing water?
Right.
Things like that. And then sometimes you do have to use the lethal things because insects can create bigger issues than sometimes the treatment will cause.
And you said you had similar types of strategies for deer.
Yeah, our deer products are all natural. Well, anyone that lives in a heavily deer-populated area knows that you can try a lot of different plants and they're going to get eaten no matter what.
Yes.
But we'll still give you the list of recommendations.
They love hostas.
Exactly. Yeah,
I lost all of my hostas.
It's almost impossible to plant something in some areas that they're not going to eat, because if they're hungry enough, they're going to eat it.
Oh, yeah, and they were planted right up next to my house, and for years they left them alone. And then they discovered them, and that was it. They were mowed down every spring.
Exactly. We offer those recommendations. We know it's not necessarily going to work all the time, but we just like to provide that information. Even though it's not something we provide, we can recommend gardens and groups that might be able to provide those types of things for you.
Love it.
Then we offer a repellent rotation program. It's the same type of repellents you can get on your own, but it's just being on a frequent enough basis. We test them out in different areas by treating corn and making sure that the deer are not eating the plots that we're treating.
Okay.
And use that information to help treat your plants. Obviously, none of that's going to be 100%. The only 100% way to keep deer out is a 10-foot fence, but you're not able to build that in most parts of St. Louis.
True. Yeah, that's kind of tall. So you're right. You are mainly in the St. Louis metropolitan area?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how do people find you?
They can see us at www.cloverwall.com.
And if people, a lot of our listeners are all around the country.
Mhm.
So if folks in other parts of the country are looking for a solution like this, is there any sort of association or some kind of database or anything else you know of that they can go to for that information?
The National Pest Management Association
Okay.
has a list of certified pest management companies.
Great
So
resource.
if you're ever looking for a pest control company that's not in St. Louis, you can reach there.
There you go. And controlling pests is really a big part of any home, but in particular a green home, because we want to make sure we're keeping it healthy and safe. So we appreciate all you're doing to help that. And it's just such a pleasure to run into you and meet you today, Nick.
It's great meeting you too.
Okay, thanks. And Green Gab Podcast signing out.
Wouldn't it be cool if your advertising could last forever? It can with perpetual advertising. Here's how it works. Unlike TV or radio ads, where every instance the ads are broadcast, they're only played once and lost forever. Perpetual advertising can have repeat exposure and replayability weeks, months, and even years after they're inserted in a podcast. So even if a podcast is a few years old, your ads will still be impactful to repeat listeners, as well as new listeners. This gives your advertising dollar the most bang for the buck. Find out more about perpetual advertising at twoguystalking.com/sponsors.
Check out the book Living Green Effortlessly, Simple Choices for a Better Home, to make simple changes to buying habits that affect a home both inside and out. Marla Esser Cloos shows consumers ways to make any home a green home. Get the book now at livinggreenbook.com. That's livinggreenbook.com.
You can try and learn about voiceover all by yourself, or you can get you and your voice to school. Check out Voice Farmers Voiceover Academy today and learn how you can make money with your voice. It's all available over at voicefarmers.com. That's voicefarmers.com.
Hey, we're on the Green Gab Go today. We are podcasting from the St. Louis Home and Garden Show, and we are having a ball walking around meeting so many amazing people. So we're at one booth, and the gentleman there says, "Oh my gosh, have you met Doug yet?" And he walked me over, and here we are, Doug.
Well, thank you very much. What can I say? Doug Walters with St. Louis County Parks and Recreation, and you're at the Children's Garden Club booth at the home show. That's what I was trying to think of, how many years we've been here. The 40-year anniversary
For the show.
time frame, it was over there on the wall. We lucked out in getting one in for that for 2004.
Nice.
So we were ecstatic and pleased that we were a part of that. The Children's Garden Club is now 18 years old, so I am very tickled pink about that. We meet monthly throughout St. Louis City and County. We are generally the first Saturday of every month, except in September and July because of the 4th of July weekend, our Labor Day.
Awesome. So I'm watching some of the kids in here
Okay.
that are making all kinds of cool stuff. So what else
Today,
in here?
today what they're making is at the one booth, they're making herb planters. The herbs are complements of wheat type greenhouses.
Yeah.
The center table is making butterflies. That's been a very
Oh, they're
popular
so
one.
cute.
Extremely popular at most of our clubs, but we found out how popular it was at the Muni when we were there for their Children's Week.
I want to hang on because so a lot of our listeners aren't in the St. Louis area.
Okay.
And the Muni is one of the jewels of St. Louis.
It really is.
Tell us
really
a little
is.
bit about it because I know you
Okay,
know
the
a lot.
Muni is an outdoor theater that you really don't have them anymore.
I know.
And it's amazing, and it is, I can't tell you all the seats, but their itinerary every year is awesome. And one week always they have something for the children to go and see. Last year it was The Wizard of Oz, and it was great. I can't remember what it is this year.
I don't either, but I know there's some great shows coming
But
this
some
summer.
great shows coming up, and there will be a children's ones also.
That is awesome. So anyway, I got you off track. So
That's
tell
okay.
us more about the
So
Children's
So the
Garden
Butterfly
Club.
Garden, for the butterfliers, with us starting our Project Pollinator, which is the butterflies, the bees,
Yeah.
and anything to help us keep our food supply very plentiful. Because Q public does not really realize how beneficial the butterflies, the bees are in food production.
So we need
them
in order for our food to bloom, and that's what makes the fruit and the vegetables come, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So this is part of sustainability, because sustainable means we go forward into the future, and that's part of our future.
That's another thing. Yes, very definitely.
Cool. Okay.
Very definitely.
Got it.
And so Project Pollinator is a program developed by the Butterfly House, Missouri Botanical Gardens, and St. Louis County Parks for the county. The city has one already, biodiversity. This is the one that we really wanted to do in working with the Botanical Gardens, so Missouri Botanical Gardens.
So where would people learn more about Project Pollinator?
The funny thing you say that.
Oh, wow.
At St. Louis County Library, the headquarters on Lindbergh Boulevard. Okay. A lot of people know Plaza Frontenac. It's right across the street.
If you're in the St. Louis area, you know Plaza Frontenac.
Right. It's right across the street from that. Or it's at Lindbergh and Clayton Road. Or it's just up the street from Lindbergh and Highway 40.
Okay.
So it all depends on where you're coming from going to. But we'll be there at 6:30. Doors open at 6. And we're going to have our first year anniversary celebration there.
Nice.
And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've got Chris from the Butterfly House to speak on a lot of the different butterflies throughout the United States and around the world. So it's going to be really, really interesting and how beneficial they are.
Nice. And if people can't make it there, is there a website they can go to learn more?
You can always go to our website or the botanical website.
Okay, great.
We either are. Then after that, we are doing... I will be giving some more citations for the good job that a lot of people are doing throughout the county.
Nice.
And Crestwood, the libraries have now put little gardens outside their gardens so they can use them as educational gardens at the libraries. Then that's
cool.
In the new upgrading of the libraries, that is one of the things they are doing.
Now, are they doing programs like that in schools and other areas like that as
we
well?
Also have we also certify and work with a lot of the different schools and a lot of communities like Crestwood.
Nice.
And a lot of garden clubs are doing it. So it's really a great program, and this is one of the certifications. Last year we tried to certify a lot of the garden centers that were participating. Sherwood Forest is great. Greenscape is great.
Nice.
Greenscape has been 100% behind this and really pushing it for many years. Tammy, who works there, just got back. Greenscape was invited to go to the World Diversity, I don't know the exact title, but they were in Paris, France.
They've been doing great work for years, because I've known them, a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And with their great work, as you said, they're also one of the top 100 retailers in the world. They won that award 2 years ago, I think, or last year.
Okay.
So in doing that, they were invited to go to this world conference. It's just something that people really need to be more and more aware of.
So if you had one tip for our listeners, no matter where they are, St. Louis or across the country, what is your one tip for them to do something to improve the relationship between people, plants, and our insect world and wildlife?
Learn, educate themselves about their environment.
And then if we can plant one thing, what would it be?
Oh, for the butterflies, it's milkweed.
Milkweed.
But it all depends. It's all good. That's why I'm saying, it's anything. You don't want to plant any one thing because of a disease.
Diversity.
Just like your emerald borer ash with the ash trees.
Right.
There's always something. So if you plant all of them, then you're wiped out. So the diversity is the secret.
Well, we will post the websites because that's some great resources. And a lot of times what I'm finding is even though a resource may be local, they link to other national resources. So folks, if you're listening and you're not in the St. Louis area, check it on out anyway, because it's likely going to guide you to some really great resources that you can use in your climate.
And that was so neat about Tammy going to Paris.
Yeah,
it is amazing how much is being done there that is somewhat being done here and can be do more. So it is a world. It is a world.
Share those experiences and share the
around
knowledge.
The world. That's for sure.
I got it. Hey, Doug, I'm so glad we got introduced.
I'm great, and thank you very much.
And thank you. And we will email you when this all gets out into the world. But in the meanwhile, anybody that wants to tune in, check us out on the Green Gab Podcast website. That's greengabpodcast.com. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Super. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Green Gab Podcast. and for joining us on our own personal green odyssey as we change the world one Green Gab podcast at a time. What did you learn about during this episode? Tell us now by visiting our website at greengabpodcast.com. And remember to connect with us via iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter. Links to do all of this are at our website, greengabpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, but more importantly, thanks for rocking it in green.